Hello, Mama. So today I have the honor to speak with Cara. She is the champion of the World Natural Bodybuilding Federation's WNBF. So if you're somebody who is an athlete or who wants to go back into bodybuilding or fitness right away, and you just gave birth or you're postpartum, you're not sure what to do, this is a great episode for you to get inspiration, to get some of the nuggets from and wisdom from the world champion, Clara. And also, if you're just a regular mom and you're like wondering, okay, how does these bodybuilder people get into great shape and get a flat belly even after having a DR? And this is a great episode for you. So enjoy. Welcome to the Becky Choice podcast shows. Today I have a very wonderful special guest here, also a long-term friend of mine, Cara Volpicelli. She is a 2022 WNBF Pro Fit Body World Champion, and she specializes in natural contest prep. She is a mommy of 5, and she has 4 natural births. And I would love for her to bring her on here to talk about her postpartum experience and share with us, Mama, what she has learned along the way and how she is able to get back into prepping and being that world champion she is now. And it's just amazing how how our body, what a miracle that we can do for our body, not just having babies, but the things that the body that can do for us even after baby. We can be as strong as before if you want to. So I love to have Cara here and talk about her experience, but it's of course it's not sunshine and rainbows here. So let's see what's going on. So good to have you, Cara.
Hi, Becky. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to chat with you today and really appreciate being here with you.
Yeah, me too. And like I see you on my Instagram all the time, and I just love like you are just so passionate in what you do with helping your clients to be in the competitions in the for like bikini prep and body world champion. It's like you guys are so strong. Like you guys are so strong. I can never get to that level. Like well, it's not my goal anyways, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like if you put your mind into something you can do it. Even for moms, even as a mom of 5, like you can do something and you are 42. I hope you don't mind me sharing your age.
I'm actually about to turn 45 next
45.
month.
Look at you. Look at you. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. See, like it's just like how amazing our body is. So, but I wanted to share though, let's talk about your postpartum journey. Like whether it is with the first one or the last one, like how were they for you?
Yeah, this is something that I'm really passionate about talking about because I feel that as women we get so much pressure from society. Like we have to be a certain way, push that baby out, and then we just get right back to like daily lives and I think that that's not quite the case, right? And so, especially being a fitness professional and somebody that, as a coach, I see lots of women just kind of bounce right back, but that wasn't me. And it took a lot of giving myself grace to allow myself that time I needed to understand like where I'm at and kind of get back to feeling like myself and it took some time. It wasn't something that just happened overnight for me.
Yes, I love that you talk about giving yourself grace. And so, how long exactly did you give time to yourself? And when do you realize that, oh, you're ready for something?
Yeah, so I had my fourth baby when I was 42 and I definitely noticed a huge difference in how my body was recovering after that compared to my previous pregnancy. So I currently have a 17-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and my stepdaughter is 10, and then I have a 2-year-old. So nearing two and a half. So my first daughter, I was much younger for, and the postpartum recovery process was very different. And with my last pregnancy, I noticed such a difference. I really kind of felt like a truck hit me, like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? And I noticed that things were not the same at all with that postpartum period after. And I really felt a burden on my body for the first time. which was really hard for me being somebody that has always worked out and uh, and really enjoyed working out. It was actually something that was very difficult for me because I suddenly felt like my knees are aching, my like everything feels so hard. I felt so weak and it really just did a number on my body. So it really took me about a solid year before I could start feeling kind of back to myself, to be honest.
Right, must be really difficult. Like, not only do you older now compared to the first birth, but you also have to take care of the 4 kids at home while going through your pregnancy and the postpartum period. And I know you had a difficult labor, you had a home birth, and a difficult recovery. And then so I'm curious, like you said that you felt really weak and you had a burden on your body, and it's difficult for you mentally because you always wanted to work out, but you did you like try to refrain yourself from working out? Like, or is it like, I know I should not work out, so I'm gonna just stop working out until I feel my body is ready? Like how walk me through like how did you differentiate like when you're ready to work out, when you're ready to start?
Yeah, that's a great question because I felt the pressure that I was imparting on myself, not only just for me wanting to like fit back into my old clothes and get back to my pre-pregnancy weight and also the pressure of like being a fitness professional and not looking the part. So I was putting all that pressure on myself and I was like, I got to get back. I got to do this. And I really had to reframe that and look at why am I burdening myself with all of this extra things of, pressure and timelines and thinking I have to look a certain way by a certain timeline when really I have no business doing that. I really truly had to really start from building back that foundation. And I remember talking to you about this, how important it is. And clearly, this is what you specialize in, right? Helping women really start with that foundation instead of getting way ahead of themselves and thinking like, okay, I mean, I had 80 pounds to lose from the heaviest pregnancy weight. And I was thinking about my previous stage weight for competition. I was like, it's 80 pounds. Oh my gosh, how am I going to get there? And finally, where I started to feel better about the situation was when I reframed and said, hold up, let's build back this foundation. Don't skip ahead of yourself. You have to start from, the internal and start from the basics and then build from there.
Yes, I love it. I love that you were reframing your mindset. Like, can totally see that pressure of going back to bodybuilding and lifting because you have been doing that the whole life. But just the fact that you were able to reframe it and going back to foundation, oh my God, I think it helped you so much in terms of now that you can actually run faster, right? You have to walk before you run. And
Absolutely.
and then so I know that you midwives, you have OB/GYN, and then what did they say about, did you have you asked them, when can I start working out kind of questions? Like,
What's interesting is you and I had spoke about this previously with my decision to go with midwives and a natural birth because they had such a more gentle approach versus my OBGYN where they're kind of like, "Hey, you're just going to pop that baby out and then come see us in 6 weeks and we'll talk about method of birth control you're going to use from there and you're good to go." Whereas my midwives, I chose because I could feel the care and concern for me. It wasn't just how's the baby, it was how's mama. We've got to, come from this loving, gentle place. And, you just did all this hard work with this baby. And my daughter was 9 pounds, 14 ounces. So
mm,
she was really large. And it was really difficult, and I think that it's really important too to have those people around you to kind of remind yourself, like, you have to put yourself first, your health and, um, your well-being in order to fill your cup so that you can then fill others and be there for them too. So, that was something I definitely needed that reminder. I was really feeling overwhelmed, especially being older, having a newborn, having other children, running a business, because we also at that time were in the middle of our contest prep season. And I remember being pregnant and thinking about timelines. I'm like, okay, if she's born on her due date, I will have 4 weeks and then I'll be at that competition and I'll be good. But she ended up being almost 2 weeks late.
Oh,
And I was like, oh my God, we're cutting it close here. And that was a lot of pressure. And, I had to support the team and help my clients prepare and also not forget about myself.
yeah, it is. Well, I had that's the same reason too. I had wives after two babies. I mean, after my first and second, I had the choice of having an OB/GYN doctor. But when I first met her, it was like 1 minute interactions with her, and the rest was with the nurses, right? And then I don't even know if she is the one gonna help me deliver the baby. Like it
Right.
was just uncertain. Maybe, oh, maybe she's on call, maybe she's not on call, you know. But like felt like it was very disconnected with the doctor. But when I tried the midwife, and the midwife really cares about you, like, you know, she take cares of you and the baby, and like because she will come to my house after I deliver for 6 weeks to take care of the baby. And then yeah, and I felt that connections more. And it is important, not just the baby, like it's not just about the baby. The mom is also very important, right? And I think you're right. Like we need to put ourselves first, right? We need to fill our cup mentally, physically when we feel ready to do so, and not be overwhelmed. Yeah, not feel overwhelmed, and try not to feel overwhelmed. It's hard to do that, but at the same time, it's so important for you to not to feel overwhelmed because you're struggling with a lot of things already. You have to do a lot of things, but what is it that you wanted to prioritize? And for you, Cara, you're saying like, oh my God, I need to, I have to prep and in 4 weeks and next. It's like, what's the point of like? There's so much timeline for you. What is the rush, right? And sometimes we have to remember that like we are important too, and like but at the same time, no rush into rushing something that is something that you don't need to rush into. And so also led me to that question. It's like, so when do you know that you were ready? Like after you feel pressure, you were overwhelmed, you reframe your mindset. So when did you feel like, okay, you know what, now it is the time I should be doing something for myself?
Yeah. So after taking the time to really like address all of the basic needs of my body, like really fueling my body was a huge thing. Like I said, going back to that foundation, I'm like, I'm barely drinking enough water. I'm not eating enough for myself. Like I'm so caught up with feed the baby, clean the house, do all the things. So I was like, I have no business thinking of all those other things ahead of that when I'm not even getting these fundamental things in line on a daily basis. And it's really affecting me. So taking that time to just make sure that I was eating, it's like as basic as it sounds, that was really huge. Fueling my body properly, getting enough water, and then also just trying to think about, okay, get outside, get some sunlight, take a walk, start there. And then I also addressed pelvic floor issues and doing pelvic floor therapy. And also it was really important to me for addressing DR was really big because I knew that I already had separation previously and I never knew about all this stuff with my other pregnancies. It was never something like on my radar. So I was like, oh, well, it's just probably going to be like that. And so now with this baby, I was like, I know that there's things I can do to help heal myself. And having already had that separation previously and having 10-pound babies, I knew that, I could put this work in and not jump too far ahead and not do more damage by just going straight into like the sit-ups and all the other things that are, can be counterproductive at that time. And finally, I came to a time, it was about when she was 1, where I was like, I feel like now that I've addressed all of that and I feel like I have a good grasp that I can like it's time to get back to feeling like me. And so since I identify as an athlete, like I identify as like, pushing my body in that way, I'm like, I really I miss that and I need it. But I knew I had solidified that foundation enough that I could go and do that. And so it was right about when she was almost 1, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm ready." Like, that mental switch and that fire was there, and I felt it, but it wasn't all, unicorns and rainbows at first because my body was kind of very deconditioned, and again, I had to, like, reframe and be like, "Okay, you've gotta scale back, start where you are, and then slowly build," and it took, again, tremendous amounts of grace and gratitude, and I would constantly remind myself, like, "Okay, my body has done amazing things. It's not done. I can literally transform it in any way, but it needs time and patience." And so I kept having to remind myself, don't jump ahead. It's not going to happen overnight. And I started taking it day by day, where I would say, how can I make this day help me move the needle towards my goals? I knew I wanted to be world champion, and it felt so far away from me. So I was maybe, I want to say I was maybe 170 pounds at that time. And my previous stage weight was 135. And I hadn't really moved the needle on the scale in a year. It basically stayed the same. My heaviest pregnancy weight was 216. So I had obviously gotten to some point, but I was really kind of stuck there. And I just started taking it day by day. What can I do today to move the needle? And I would literally just say, I'm in control of only today. Stop looking at that whole staircase, that big, huge mountain ahead of you, and just start chunking it down and take what you can each day.
Right. I am in control of only today. Love that. You need to give yourself time and patience. And then, yeah, it is because in this modern society, everybody wants you to bounce back just like that. Like looks like you don't have no babies, right? All the magazine, they portray that kind of reality. So and so celebrity just had a baby. Oh, look at her. Like, Kate Middleton doesn't have a belly anymore, even after the third pregnancy. Like we are so bombarded by these kind of images. I think we have gotten a lot better in terms of like, okay, we need to give ourselves grace. There are a lot of movement on the social media, especially about like, you just need to give yourself time. And I love that message from you to talk about this also because not just a regular because you are an athlete yourself, you want to do it. I can even feel every cell, every ounce of your cell, like I want to work out, want to work out, want to work out. But at the same time, you have to slow down and you start from the foundations of breathing, core engagement, working on your pelvic floor, and then you slowly move back into strength training, right?
Yes.
And then, so do you feel when you go back to strength training, slowly, like after your postpartum, do you feel like that, like you felt, yes, probably you felt ready, but do you think that it has helped you? If you were to jump back into strength training, it probably would have breaking something in your body. Like, what do you think would be your feeling if you didn't start with that foundations? I would
Yeah.
say this because some of my clients, not all of them, but some of my clients have some athlete background. Maybe they were runners, so they wanted to go back into marathon. They wanted to run. Like, when can I start running, Becky? They ask me all the time when they first join my program. When can I start running? When can I go back to do this and that? I'm like, slow down. Slow down, you need to start from the foundation, then you can move forward. Because if you don't even, it's just like laying bricks in the house. If you don't have the foundation in the house, no matter how pretty your house is, it's gonna fall down if there's some sort of a natural disaster going on, right? And I
Mhm.
think that is very similar to our body. And so, yeah, walk me through what you think when you go back to strength training. And I'm also interested to see, like, after your third or fourth, like it is your fourth, after your second or third pregnancy, like, did you do the same thing? Like, if there a difference for you?
Yeah, so I absolutely did try to get ahead of myself. Like I had these lofty ideas, right? And how I knew I wasn't ready, I totally crashed and burned. I was like, "I'm going to the gym. I'm gonna do this." And, like, I tried weight that, like, I thought would be light, and it did not feel good. Like, my core felt like mush. And I was like, "I'm smart enough to know I'm doing myself a disservice when everything just feels like mush and I'm not creating that stability that I need." Like, I just knew, with my background, and I'm sure that must be really difficult for some women that maybe don't know that difference, and they're just like, "I just need to work through it." But again, back to, like, yes, you need to put work in, but it's gotta be laying brick by brick and taking it, starting from where you're at. With my previous pregnancies, I did have different situations because my pregnancy before this last one, my daughter ended up having to be admitted to the hospital when she was a few months old. They were concerned that she wasn't growing. So that was really difficult because I had to be there with her. We were in the hospital about 2 weeks doing all these tests, and it turned out that she needed a feeding tube to be inserted, and she had the feeding tube. And my life revolved completely around her getting her nutrition, and I was on the back burner, and I lofty ideas. I'm gonna bounce right back. I will get there right away. But I could not even go into the gym or barely be away from her because I had to constantly monitor her that she didn't pull the feeding tube out. I had to She was nursing at that time, and then also I was supplementing with the formula and the feeding tube. So it was nursing, then pumping, then giving her the feeding tube, and then cleaning all of the apparatus. And it was just so much. So the last time I was like, oh, this is going to be a totally different, scenario because I won't have, you know, hopefully, God willing, I won't have that situation. And I think it's so important to realize every pregnancy is completely different. Every mom is completely different. There's no same situation, and you really have to like take it once it comes and see kind of like where things fall. And so with my daughter Mia, she had the feeding tube until she was about 10 months old. And then it wasn't until then that I could really start thinking about myself. So it was delayed in a different way at that point.
Yes, well, yeah, it is. Every postpartum, every pregnancy is a totally different story. But I would say though, even I know the third one was 10 years ago, right? Maybe 7 or 8 years difference. But
Mhm,
I would say though, like you would wanted to get into a healthier body, right? Get into that foundation before you get pregnant again. So then you have that foundation, you have that baseline already in your body. So then you can be into your subsequent pregnancy with a stronger core, stronger body. So you
mhm.
can carry it through. Although that pregnancy could still be difficult, but you would have a better baseline already to start with.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing. You're an inspiration, Cara. You're an inspirations. And I guess, any other things you wanted to share with us, Mom, here for those who are kind of stuck and maybe they just gave birth and they're looking to, yeah, get back into the routine and work out, but then they are also feeling overwhelmed and stressed with everything else in life. What would you say to them? And maybe where should they start? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that it's so normal and natural to feel overwhelmed, whether you're a new mom the first time or whether you've done it before. It still is a very difficult time. And I think number one is just giving yourself grace and releasing the pressure because you don't need to add that to yourself. And then also, I feel very, very strongly that at the point when it is your time, like you'll know it's so imperative to get back to feeling like yourself and doing what you need to do. Because I think that a lot of women think, well, now I'm a mom. I've got to completely give up all my hopes and dreams. and I've got to do everything for them and completely succumb to like everything, every desire and be at their beck and call. And now I'm on the back burner and I give myself up. But I don't believe in that at all. And it's not easy and it takes a lot of, I guess, planning and and delegating and and if you have support system, that's even better, but it's not completely necessary, but it's so important to make sure that you don't lose out on your own hopes and goals for yourself. And that was something that was really big for me is that I went through a really hard time in my life. I was in a decade-long abusive relationship and I completely lost myself and I let go of every hope and dream I ever had because I was just living in perpetual chaos and always trying to make somebody else happy and walking on eggshells. And so I lost myself in that process. And when I turned 40, I was like, I'm not going to live like that anymore. And I made it a choice that I'm going to aggressively pursue whatever makes me happy. And it's something that I live by that I think is really important for women. So whether you have gone through something like that, whether you just had a baby and you feel lost, it's important to know that there's a temporary feeling that you will go through, but you will start to shed that as time passes, and when you know the time is right, like, you'll know, and it's important to get back to all the things that you love and light you up and give you passion, and for me, I knew I wanted to be a world champion. It was always a goal of mine, and I was like, "You know what? I'm not gonna let age or being a mom or anything else, maybe starting later in life, I'm not gonna let any of that hold me back." And it was something that I felt very strongly about pursuing. So I'm really grateful that, I was able to do that, and I feel like it's a really important message for other moms to know.
Good for you. You give me goosebumps, Cara. Oh my gosh. Oh my
Thank
gosh. You're a
you.
light. You're inspirations. Wow. I really gives hope and dreams to mom, other moms. See, this is a true example here. 45-year-old, she is a world champion. And I think my audience would be dying to know, okay, how do you get a flat tummy? You went through 4 pregnancy, you had a big belly, you had a 10-pound baby. People think you were carrying twins, but you were not. And so how did you have a flat belly and going on stage and compete and be a champion? How did you do that?
Yes. Oh my gosh, used to drive me nuts how many times people would ask me, "Are you sure you're not having twins?" And I'd be like, "Yes, I'm sure." But so here's the other thing. I should share this quickly. Even like being a fitness professional, like I'm gonna eat healthy all through my pregnancy, whatever. Your body is gonna kind of do what it needs to do. Like I just know my body. I make these huge babies. I get these gigantic bellies, and that's just how it is. So, after it was important to me to, again, going back to the grace and the time. So, even though I have lots of pictures I could share, my stomach did not go back flat right after. It stayed very large. It took a lot of time, and I did use waist trainers and I did a lot of exercises to help to bring in, those abdominal muscles and help that core and build that foundation back because it's very different than when you're working the superficial muscles that people think of, like the six pack. It's extremely different. You need to tighten up the deep abdominal muscles in order to bring that stomach back to being flat, and then consistency plus time. That's really the key.
It is consistency and time, but first of all, work on the deep transverse abdominal muscles, the deep core muscles, and then you work on the superficial layers of the muscles, as well as eating, as well as training. Yeah, consistency and time, and here's where we need a structure. We need to have a
Exactly.
plan on, okay, what do you need to do, and then stick to it. And that's how you got it, right? That's how it is. It doesn't
Yeah.
sound too hard. but you just have to stick to it, right?
Yeah, it's no, like, magic pill, it's nothing sexy or, like, extremely special,
Mm-hmm.
it's the foundation work, and then again, just plus time and consistency, but a lot of people aren't willing to put in the time, and they get frustrated, and they want it right now, and they're like, "Oh, it's not working," and then they
Yeah.
give up too soon before they see the results,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to stick with it and believe, have that plan. It's really important to have a plan, believe that it's going to work, believe that you're investing your time and energy in something that is going to work out for you so that you see it through all the way. And our bodies are amazing. We are super women. We are
Mm-hmm.
literally capable of doing whatever we want. It's just a matter of effort plus time, consistency, patience, like, that's it. Again,
Mm-hmm.
nothing sexy, there's no, like, you know, great magic formula, it sounds kinda basic, but what works.
Right. Having a plan. And I think that your dreams, your goals, what you want is an investment, not an expense.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Wow. Awesome. That's so good. It's been so good catching up with you. I want to let people know where can people find you and see
Yes.
that inspiration in front of their eyes. Like, I don't believe this. Like, let me show. Where can people find you?
So my Instagram is Coach Cara V. It's Cara and then V as in Volpicelli, Coach Cara V. And I'm also on Facebook, Cara Volpicelli.
Awesome. Yeah, I will have them in the show notes on this podcast here. Wonderful. It's been so lovely catching up with you, Kara. It's you just like again, I say it again, like you're just an inspiration, like for many of us mama here, like who nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Age,
It's not
whatever, it doesn't limit you.
absolutely. I really aim to inspire women and let them know that our lives don't have to end just because we're moms. We have these amazing blessings and they enhance our lives, but one of the things I really love is that my children are getting to witness me going for my dreams. And that has been really, really important to me. I'm actually now in prep to defend my title in November. And so I'm going for number two, and I'm having so much fun. Like, this is what I love to do. And so I think that it's really important to find that, find your tribe, find support, find things that light you up, and let your children see that you're not just giving up on life so that you can be a mom. That doesn't have to be that way.
Absolutely amazing. So good. Oh my gosh, goosebump. Okay, Clara, thank you so much. And thank you for coming onto my podcast. And yeah, if you guys wanted to check out Clara, go to her Instagram. I'll link it in the show notes below. And I'll talk to you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Becky.
I hope you love this episode as much as I do. It's something that I learned from her today. I am in control of only today. Don't think about the past. The past is the past, but look forward, look at toward today, look at what you can do today to make you feel better, to help you to reach closer to your goals. So if you're wondering what you can do next, and if you're interested to learn more about my Tummy Warrior coaching program, please go ahead to www.tummywarrior.com and learn more about how you can heal your diastasis recti, get strong, get in great shape, and stop looking like you're pregnant. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye bye.